Supporting and helping athletes from high school through college on to the pros, it is sometimes a mighty task, but there's one local gentleman who's certainly working with lots of young people and adults in that mission. I'm joined with Anthony Griggs, president of Stepping Towards Success. Anthony, thanks so much for being here on Impact.
Thank you for having me.
As part of Stepping Towards Success, you've put together a program called Life's a Sport, Train for It. Tell us about that.
Well, Life's a Sport, Stepping Towards Success is basically a company that deals with personal development. And in that personal development, there's a program that I developed called Life's a Sport, Train for It. Through my years of coming through high school, going to college, and even being in the pros as a player, and also as a director of player development, working with players in school and personal things, I saw that there's a need to really, before they get to the pros, before they get to college, to have in place for them a way for them to make decisions based on references that they may get, but also to give them options. What happens is, for an athlete, they become good, they have a really high skill level in a sport, higher than their peers, and that's what people sort of zoom in on. And what happens is, they aren't making decisions on any other subjects, and the options aren't really put to them, except in the sports field. And so I've taken it as to show them that there are options out there. And I broaden that out to be something not just in sports. There are 6 areas that an athlete trains in, but there are 6 areas that I have applied these training aspects to people's lives. Okay, the skill, the endurance, the speed, the weightlifting or conditioning, and the diet and your rest. For instance, diet, people look at athletes and they think of what you eat and the nutritional value and the vitamins and minerals. But diet is really what is in your life that gives you energy. What do you read? What do you listen to? What kind of self-talk do you have to yourself? What kind of talk is being put into your mind? What are the coaches talking to you about, your parents, what have you? You need to really pay attention to that, because that's going to dictate everything else and give you that energy that you need to do what you got to do. That's part of Life's a Sport, Train for It.
Absolutely, and when you talk about conditioning on the field, it is so vital to talk about the conditioning off the field and what one is doing with your mind, your energy, your social life, your surroundings. And as you put it, this Life's a Sport, Train for It helps to take those things that they're learning on the field, skill, endurance, conditioning, diet, and then they serve as almost acronyms, if you will, for off the field, as you put it. You talked about diet. What about endurance and speed? How does that correlate?
Endurance is, they go in that order. The first thing that an athlete is going to look to be working at is his skill level. That's why I mentioned it first. Skill is the determination of, are you good at this particular sport, what have you. And the same thing in life. Your skill you can work at, though. The skill you can develop. Skill is through repetition. So the more you work at it, the more skill you may have at it. Obviously, if you start younger, you get better at it. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, what have you. Okay? And what happens is, you get proficient in your skill. Now it's going to be a matter of your endurance, because your endurance is going to play a factor. How long can you go? Michael Jordan, let's say. He has great skill, but if he's tired and he needs a rest, his skill level is going to diminish quickly. And then he's going to be an average player, because he cannot do keep at the same skill level. Speed is a matter of how much, not just running in place or running 40 yards or running from here to there. Speed is determination how quick you can do the skill. When it's time for you to do that, how quick can you transfer it from thought to actually application. And therein goes the difference between some of the players who have the sometimes effect or the ones who do it pretty much consistently. And you try to get that. At the pro level, those guys are obviously well skilled. Okay, they have well endurance, speed, they already have a whole package pretty much. What I try to do is try to take that package and get it at the high school level, and not just in the sports arena. Trying to get young people, athletes, if they're athletes, great, but if they're not, still get them into a learning and a personal development plan, so that they can get into money management, time management, stress management, get them on a path of goal setting, goal achievement, and giving them options as to getting prepared for college, taking ACTs, taking SATs. Anything that's the weakness, let's try to work at that. Anything that's a strength, try to play on that. And that's how you get into a personal development plan starting in the 9th grade.
It's so important because many of these young people have fabulous coaches who help them on the field, and they bring their talent to the field in whatever arena we're talking about, basketball, football, what have you. But as you point out, off the field, off the court, these other issues are tantamount to success because you won't play ball for the rest of your life.
That's
and if
right.
you're not preparing for that time off the field while you're on it, then when you're done with it, sometimes it can be a crash landing. You ought to know in that you played for the Eagles, you played for the Cleveland Browns, you in fact were named Man of the Year with the Eagles, and then spent time with the Pittsburgh Steelers working with the athletes there. And so we're talking about years of working as a professional athlete, and then time off the field working as mentor and coach, and then even receiving a master's degree in education that now relates to this. And so with all of that said, how successful are the kids who graduate from your programs?
It all depends on what they're looking to get out of the program. And what I do is try to sit down with them and give them pretty much a clear picture as to what the program's going to entail, what we're going to be doing. And then trying to get them to bridge the gap to where they're at and where they see themselves in the future. What can you improve on? Maybe it's your attendance. Maybe it's a class that you may be weak in. Maybe it's your study habits. If you're an athlete, great. That's going to be easy to take care of. We're trying to deal with things that is for you as a student going to pay off in the long run. And therein lies really the reference points. You try to get them off of the short-term decisions onto the long-term decisions. Because what I've seen, even at the pro level, is at the pro level, those guys are good, and whatever they've done to get at that point, they pretty much have it ingrained in stone. They're going to keep doing that because they've made it to the pros. So whatever they've done before, they're going to continue doing it, whether it's good or bad. So what I try to do is make kids understand at a young age that you can start habits now in the way not only that you do, but the way you think. How do you solve problems? How do you handle situations, things that come up that maybe discourage you? How do you handle those situations, not just in sports? But we're talking about just in life. Life isn't, as you know, going to be the most fairest thing in the world.
And not that we mentioned a him or a he, but this is certainly available to she or her. So, girls, if you're listening, it certainly makes sense to take advantage of this as well. Even though there are not many opportunities for pros, but still, girls in high school and college athletic programs need this type of guidance as well. Let's give you some information. If you're watching and would like to take part in some of the programs or get more information, you can contact Anthony at 412-608-6783 or go out to his website, www.steppingtowardsuccess.com.